Be talking about the role of new media and the new role of media and such. What are some of the learnings that we're going to be talking about during the conference?
I think this is a fascinating topic, and again, coming off the experiences I've had with ABS-CBN, take a look at our world today and how technology, how the internet has changed things, how it's changed protests. For example, we know now that the internet can help decisively oust a leader. Egypt, much faster. The hero of that time is a little known Facebook executive, Wael Ghanem, and that is something that's triggered strife all around the Middle East. The question now is, can the internet, can new media, can new technology be used to help in governance? And so these are the things, one of the things that I'll be focusing on is what has happened globally in terms of both broadcasting and new media.
Exactly. I mean, you're not just centering on broadcast media, but new media, everybody's got a voice in terms of the internet, there's social network and that sort of thing.
And how it can spark. Again, one of the things that we found in ABS-CBN is that ideas spread, yes, but more importantly, what spreads faster on the internet is emotions. And that was part of the foundation of our Ako Ang Simula campaign. The amount of hope that was spread, pushing people to action. The next step now, of course, is how can that be used? Not just by journalists, by terrorists, by governments. How is it being used? What are other parts, what are practitioners from other parts of the world doing?
All right, for Philip, maybe you want to touch on a couple of the other learnings that you guys had. I mean, there was the recent bombing in Russia, which made headlines. I mean, like we keep saying, they find ways to go around the system.
Absolutely. Well, we had in October last year the cargo threat. In fact, it wasn't only a threat, it was actually an attack that was actually carried out, unsuccessfully. That actually was a clear case example of actually why we shouldn't rely on things like X-ray machines. The British authorities had examined the specific package that was identified as carrying a bomb, and after 4 hours cleared it, because they were relying on technology. We've had the Moscow airport attack. Only last month in the UK, the British courts have just convicted a British Airways IT employee, and that's a real issue, the insider threat, who's working within our organisations, airports, airlines, or indeed anywhere, that could be passing on information to people outside, exposing our vulnerabilities.
Right. I think that's an interesting point there where in terms of airport security and such, I mean, or security in general, I mean, we generally think of that as somebody else's job. I mean, that's the government's job, or that's whichever organization's job. It's our job, isn't it?
It is everybody's job. And first of all, we've got to recognize that actually aviation security is not just counter-terrorism. We are actually trying to protect against any unlawful attack that takes place on board an aircraft. And that can include a drunk. I mean, we have a lot of disruptive passenger incidents on board aircraft every day, and one day, unfortunately, one of those will result in the destruction of an airliner, because some of them are really serious. And actually, if we deploy profiling, which is something I passionately believe in, and I'm not talking racial profiling, I'm talking behavioral analysis, that helps negate the terrorist threat and also respond to the threat of the intoxicated passenger that might just be getting on board your aircraft.
I think an important part of what you pointed out is public awareness and public action. And in the Philippines, perhaps we haven't been as proactive about it as other countries in the region, like, say, Singapore. In Singapore, you get on a bus, plastered there. It tells you what to look out for and who you should call. You get on the MRT and there's an announcement about it. And it's a tough thing for governments because they have to find the right line between vigilance and hypervigilance to the point that it becomes either panic or it deadens people's reactions. I think on our end in the Philippines, a little more public education would actually help. I mean, look at our headlines this morning. It bombards you with groups, the MILF, the teachers, and their jargon, but in the end, it still comes down to you, your family, your community. How can you help the government, the public sector, protect yourselves?
Because, I mean, the headlines haven't changed, really. I mean, every day we seem to talk about the same things. And it's just interesting that the problems never really go away.
They do change.
They do change?
They do change. I mean, that's one of the things. I was embedded, 2 weeks ago, I embedded down in the southern Philippines. And one of the best things, I came out probably the most optimistic I'd been since 2003, 2004, when I saw that, wow, progress has been made. Authorities are cooperating. They're both within the governments and outside and between governments. Cooperation has increased dramatically. And yet, that's reacting to an old threat. So now the threat has evolved. One of the things we're seeing is a growing nexus between terrorism, crime, and politics. So what happens there? How do we respond to that new threat? I think this is what Protect is trying to do, is to try to get people to think about these new threats, to look at how the sand is shifting beneath our feet, while still keeping track of the kind of real world practices you need to put in place to deal with past and upcoming threats.
Good stuff. All right. Well, one of the points that is going to be touched on here is engaging the stakeholders. Engaging the stakeholders, period. I mean, and that's all of us. That's everybody. I mean, so everybody should be interested in, attending the conference, checking it out. We've got a few of the details. I'm sure we're going to be flashing them on screen, but it's going to be on
tomorrow
and Wednesday.
And Wednesday at New World Hotel. New World Hotel. All right. Well, this is a very interesting discussion. I don't want to dig too deep because I'm sure it's going to be taken up during the conference itself. But it certainly was a pleasure to be talking to you guys and touching the tip of the iceberg, so to speak. Nice to be talking to you, Maria. In a different guise.
Yes.
So thank you very much to Maria Ressa and Mr. Philip Baum for joining us this morning.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.